Hello, Internet, and welcome. It's that time for the Free-to-Play cast brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. magicman, here to host episode 230. Recording on August 3rd, you're watching it on the 4th or later, and we've got some fun stuff to cover, including a first look at Fortnite. We won't get as in-depth as last week about what the game's about, so if you don't know, pause this video, go watch the first look, or go watch last week's free-to-play cast. This week, we're going to be talking opinions, now that we've spent some more time in it, and a bunch of other things, like expansions. Those are pretty big news, right, Mr. Jason Winter?
I mean, yeah, expansions for a couple of games that I barely know anything about, sure.
Yeah, I mean, these aren't even games you've played.
At all, for like 5 years. No.
Well, luckily we have somebody else who sounds like he's got a frog in his throat. Mr. Troy Blackburn, back from vacation. Look at you all sunburned.
No, wait. This isn't the beach. What happened? Where am I at? Where's my beer?
You can have a beer while we're doing the cast if you want, man. I won't stop you.
Q totally gave you an A-bomb last week for sitting your ass on a beach somewhere while she was stuck doing the free-to-play cast.
Well, I've been paying for it this week with this nasty head cold. Literally sitting in the airport as we were getting ready to board a plane to come home. I was like, man, my throat hurts. By the time we landed an hour and a half later, I was like, I'm about ready to die.
Oh.
And you probably spread it to everybody on the plane.
Probably so. I hate it for them.
Well, luckily for the panel here, we are doing this via the power of the internet, so Jason and I are immune to Troy's death plague, whatever he has. So let's slide over and get started with the news. All right, we're going to go with what is probably the biggest news of the week, and that is expansions. Mordor is coming to... No, not that one?
No.
That's probably not the biggest one, huh?
The other hot and dusty region people are going to be going to.
Yeah, really.
So ArenaNet held their little press event via the power of Twitch, which was quite a difference between this and the last press event, if I remember right, Jason. I'm pretty sure.
There were no giant green spotlights this time.
Yeah, pretty sure. Heart of Thorns had a much bigger press reveal, but either way, Guild Wars 2 is getting an expansion. We kind of speculated earlier this year, along with most people that play Guild Wars, not a real surprise here, that we would get one by the end of this year. Turns out Path of Fire, the next expansion for your Guild Wars 2 players, is actually right around the damn corner, Jason. I was a little bit surprised by the date, until you dug into things a little bit and said, hey, wait a minute, something about that date seems familiar. So September 22nd, you'll be able to get the Path of Fire expansion. It's already on sale now. Base versions of the game start at $30 USD and then go all the way up to $80 for the Ultimate Edition with all the digital goodies in it. But Jason, let's get first your impression of both the expansion as a whole. Let's not get into too many details yet. And oh, we lost Jason.
Oh,
nope, no. I'm here now.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
It froze up on my screen for a second.
Yeah, you disconnected on our screens.
Oh, wow. I didn't show any disconnect. Just the total
you totally bailed.
Screw this expansion. I'm out.
To give a shit about Guild Wars 2, I'm out of here. Let's get your take, Jason, first on the expansion as a whole. Let's not go into too many details about specific editions yet. We'll talk about those briefly in a second. And why we think September 22nd is the date that they may have purposely kind of considered as a good time to launch this one, Jason.
Well, it's interesting that a lot of the criticism they got in the lead up to and also following Heart of Thorns launch was stuff that some people might have written about on websites complaining about. Some people, random people, I don't know who they might have been.
Break your arm patting yourself on the back there. Damn.
But at least for now, it seems like they're really responding to a lot of that criticism and a lot of the things in terms of the cadence of it. Because, like I said, it's coming around in like less than 2 months, whereas we had this 9-month drought of content, after Heart of Thorns came out, and then another pretty decent drought afterwards, except for raids, which I have my own opinions about, but whatever, we won't get into that. So yeah, I mean, it seems like they really are getting that content down pretty well. They're not going to have it. That was the other thing that I had some issues beforehand was how long it took them to reveal stuff during those 9 months. So they just kind of dragged it out and out and out. Now, obviously, here they are, less than 2 months. They can go into whatever they need to and however, whatever detail they need to in that amount of time. We actually have a free weekend next weekend. You can play some part of the expansion. I think the 11th through the 13th of the date. So, getting right into it. They're really ramping up the hype machine at the right time, and they're not doing it as a kind of desperation thing, like we have to get something out now to talk to people about. They've really done a good job, I think, of getting their pacing down, getting their scheduling, and doing both the live. As they said they were going to do, we're going to both have live content and working on the expansion at the same time. So apparently they've done that in a better way than we thought. I was really surprised by how soon that date was.
Yeah, I mean, that's, just a little over a month away. August 3rd, we're recording here, so we've got, a month and 2 weeks, and boom, it's expansion from announcement to release date. I was pretty impressed and surprised, but then not surprised when you pointed out correctly that this coincides with just about the tail end of Q fiscal quarter 3.
Yeah, as you know, I track because NCSoft puts out their investor relations stuff, every quarter right on the dot. Next quarter should be actually coming out like maybe late next week. We might see it, and it certainly has been pretty rough for Guild Wars 2 since Heart of Thorns. They had 2 good quarters, and then just kind of plummeted. Not to the point of, hey, we have to lay off the entire company, but definitely their lowest quarters in the year since. Now, we don't know how Q2 is. That's the one that's going to come out next week. Chances are, of course, Mike O'Brien probably knows what it is. He knows what that number is. And it's probably going to be about on par with the other ones. It's going to be pretty low. So they're hoping, I suppose, to have a nice influx of cash when Q3 hits, right around the end of, or when the Q3 deadline hits, which is going to be September 30th. Expansion launches September 22nd. So they're going to get a nice little bonus added to their ledger over that period.
So what you're saying is this is just a money grab, right?
Oh,
yeah, total money grab.
That's all expansions are, just money grabs.
How dare they?
Darn devs.
Troy, as somebody that's just jumping back recently yourself into Guild Wars 2 and doing the whole character boost and playing around with it and streaming it lately, and I know you talked about it on your stream, I think today, right? You guys were,
a little bit
chatting
today,
about the expansion. Give us kind of your overview of thoughts on the upcoming content.
First of all, I have impeccable timing on getting back into MMOs. I jumped into SWTOR right before they announced their expansion last year, and here I am in Guild Wars 2 a few weeks. Yeah, the rumors were there, but now, boom, solid within 2 months, we're going to have an expansion. So, I'm having a good time so far. It's really exciting to go for it. I love being in the middle of a game and being this invested into it as I am right now, when there's all this hype around it and folks are re-excited about the game and sort of the community's reinvigorated and everybody's sort of in map chat talking about, what they're looking forward to, what they're disappointed in, and just, no matter what, they're just talking about the game. And there were folks even in my stream today who were coming in and saying, hey, I've been out of Guild Wars 2 for a while. I've been thinking about coming back in. Now that we've got this new expansion announcement, I think I'm going to go ahead and make that jump and try the game out again. And they were just asking for advice on classes, what to do, what I've been having fun with, what other folks are sort of thinking about things. So it's fun to be, this is a good time to be involved in an MMO when you've got all that hype, all that excitement to look forward to.
If you're looking at purchasing this, you should know that all editions, the cheapest $30 standard edition, all the way up to the most expensive ultimate bundle at $80 USD, all of them include, obviously, the content of the game, but also a max-level character boost. And you might be thinking, if you play other MMOs, oh my god, they're going to give me a max-level character boost right off of the expansion? Keep in mind, we're talking about Guild Wars 2. The cap's been 80 since the damn game came out. And Heart of Thorns and now Path of Fire are going to continue to build upon that additional progression system that is at the end. So you won't be just maxed out right off the bat, but you will have avoided that 1 through 80 grind to get to the enhanced progression systems. Let's talk about that one first, Jason, since that's something that started in Heart of Thorns, and we're still going to see in Path of Fire as well, the elite specializations, including new weapons that are totally new to those base classes as well. I thought, hey, this is cool. Like the example you gave in the article was a dagger using Spellbreaker or a rifle toting Deadeye Thief. I thought both of which were a little bit interesting.
Yeah, just like what they did with Heart of Thorns when they introduced the elite specializations. They're going to do the same thing here. Each of the 9 classes is going to get a new, elite class, elite specialization, whatever you want to call it, with its own weapon. Like I said, the dagger for the warrior, rifle for the thief. A couple of them get axes. Revenant gets a short bow and a new legend to go with that. So, yeah, again, more ways for you to just try out your character. That was one little thing, though, that I wonder, again, how they're going to deal with. That the elite classes from before were considered so good that you just didn't ever want to bother playing the older ones.
Yeah.
So I hope they're going to try to balance those out a little bit better.
On the flip side of the class discussion, Troy, no new class. So no Revenant from Heart of Thorns. Nothing on that front. Was that a little bit of a disappointment for you?
I think there were plenty of folks, including myself, who were maybe hoping we would get a new class, but at the same time, I don't think there's a lot of hardcore players all that shocked. We've got 3 of each armor type now. The classes are fairly rounded out, 3 heavy, 3 medium, 3 light armors. So, in all honesty, I think we would have been more surprised to see a new class than disappointed that we're not getting one. Yeah, of course, we would have liked to have had one, but I don't know that all that many serious folks were just, oh my God, if they don't do a new class, I'm going to riot.
The big addition, though, I'm very happy about this, finally. Yes. Guild Wars 2, getting some mounts, baby. You're getting mounted. Oh, boy.
God, bringing that back.
You're getting some mounts, finally, in Guild Wars 2. And although it's, like, arguably been one of those things, well, you don't really need them in Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I get it. I get the teleporting and all that. You know, you're never really that far away from anything. All right, fine, but I still want a damn mount.
One mount. Damn right.
I still want a mount. I don't care if that quest is 3 minutes from a telepoint or 3 seconds from a telepoint. Give me a damn mount. But
yes.
in Guild Wars 2's expansion, unlike typical mount stuff, not only do you have a boost in movement, of course, but each of them may have different abilities here, like a dinosaur raptor can jump fast, and a mutant bunny can hop really high. There's one with a teleport, a short-range teleport. And they're going to play into combat. We'll have to see how they help out a little bit in combat. We'll have to watch for more details on that one, because historically mounted combat has not been going very well in MMOs. And the way they expressed it, Jason, I don't view it as like mounted combat. No. I view it as like, a little side companion.
Yeah, but they each have sort of an engagement ability.
Right.
Yeah, like a little first strike thing, and then I think you dismount and fight normally for the most part.
So I'm very happy about this, but what you may not be happy about is it's tied to the mastery system. Unlocking the mounts is tied to the mastery system, which, I don't know, could be a little disheartening for somebody maybe like myself, who I literally never took my Revenant that I level boosted out of the safe zone. I haven't played Guild Wars 2 since then. I'm definitely coming back for the expansion, but I've got to get into the mastery system, right? Because I never really got into it. And so there's a little bit of a, okay. But there's mounts, so I'm all right with it. Your thoughts on the mounts. Troy, we'll go to you first.
I'm really excited for them. I've been wondering for a while how this game has gone so long with none, and like you, I get the waypoints were supposed to be the travel. I don't care. I still want mounts. And when the leaks first started happening, which we tried not to talk about a whole lot, but there was a little bit of worry that these mounts were literally just going to be contrivances within certain zones to do very specific things. And while they do have special abilities that will help you get around these maps in special ways, they are speed boosts for anywhere, and they can go anywhere. Corteria, Heart of Thorns, anywhere you want to take them. They're mounts. You can jump on them and go. So, yes, there's limited. There's only going to be 4 of them at launch. But at least they're not just a contrivance within zones to do like one thing, and then other than those specific things, there's no reason to mount them. Screw it. Let's just mount them all the time. Let's get mounted, baby.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Jason, do you care? I mean, you never, when we talked about this, you were always one of those that really didn't care there weren't mounts in there. So is this exciting to you, or is it just, okay, fine, I knew it was a matter of time, whatever?
Yeah, it's probably more on that level for me.
I get a feeling.
Especially if I'm gonna be the really cynical type and think, they could just give us the ability to do some special movement power without having to unlock a mount too, which of course they'll sell plenty of in the gem store, I'm sure.
Yeah, so. If mounts don't make Jason Winter happy, I don't think anything ever will.
No, not pretty much.
You heard it here first. Mounting doesn't make Jason happy. Wait a minute. I don't think that's worded correctly. 5 new zones, moving on. 5 new zones, including, for Guild Wars 1 fans, Crystal Desert and Ilona. So, yes, we're if Guild Wars was 250 years before Guild Wars 2, but we're going to see some of the new, as you alluded to, Jason, dry, fiery type zones being in the middle of the desert. All in all, it's enough to make me buy it. And I'm going to buy it before September 22nd so that I can get the weapon skin for something I'll probably never end up using anyway. And that's...
level 80 boost for another
right.
character.
I'm going to get another
zone.
level 80 boost, so technically I have 2. That's great. Fantastic. God, I love this game. I haven't played shit, and I got 2 max level characters. This is the best MMO ever.
They're so pretty when they stand in town and they're level 80.
In town, shit.
You can't take it out of town.
Yeah,
you can't go to town.
I can't. I'm not in town. They look. They look.
If he literally takes it into town, he'll be locked in. He hasn't decided yet.
They look great on the character select screen. I'll tell you that.
Oh
They
my
look
god!
fantastic.
Wow.
They look incredible. So I'm looking forward to it. But again, I'm tempering this, Jason, with Heart of Thorns really didn't pull me in, as is evidenced by the fact that I didn't really play it much. Besides screwing around on my main, which wasn't max level, trying out a Revenant at 80, and I kind of just fell out of it without even leaving the safe zone before I could re-roll a different class for my 80. I'm hopeful that, I mean, we're going to see a lot of cool things, right? Balthasar is going to be in there trying to kill the dragons and suck up their power. It looks like a typical fantasy story right up my alley. But mounts great, but I don't know if it's gonna suck me in. I just don't know. Troy, you've been sucked in recently, but we've both done this before where we get sucked into Guild Wars 2 for like 3 weeks and we're like, shit, why haven't I been playing more of this? And then we stop and we don't even look back like, oh, I feel bad that I'm not playing it. So I'm
that's definitely happened.
a little hesitant on the expansion, but they'll be getting my money. Troy, will they be getting yours? Final word?
As in, do they already have my money?
Ah, there you go. There you go. Jason, more importantly, are they getting yours? Because you are the Guild Wars 2 demographic, and even you have slipped away from it.
What, am I like an 18 to 45?
No, I don't. Demographic's the wrong word. I mean, you were all about Guild Wars 2 before Heart of Thorns, and then Heart of Thorns really didn't recapture you, and you're the kind of person that ArenaNet can't afford to lose. Somebody that does play their game, and an expansion just doesn't do it for them.
Yeah, I mean, I was out of it pretty hard for like probably the last 6 months or so. I barely logged in, just enough to unlock the new story chapters and so on. Been playing a bit more lately, going through the old story stuff, trying to get caught up a bit, so I'm sort of getting back into it. Haven't pre-purchased, and I really need to see a little more, because the thing is, and I try not to, I didn't want to rain on everybody's parade, because we're also happy to see all the new stuff and whatever. But we were really, really hyped for Heart of Thorns, too.
Yeah, we really were.
How did we feel about that later?
Yeah.
So
and that's why I said mine's tempered a little bit, because I was excited about it. Full disclosure, I think ArenaNet gave me the expansion, so I don't even think I spent money for it. I think they gave it to me for a preview thing. I think. So, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, they're doing everything right so far, but now they need to take it across the finish line or something like that. Yeah. Whatever kind of analogy you want. Though the nice thing is, again, something else I talked about. They had a lot of criticism last time for the price of Heart of Thorns. I think the base package was $50. So now this one at $30 with the more expensive ones going on. That's another good point that they've, like I said, they seem to be doing everything just about right so far, but they got to actually produce a good expansion that people are going to want to play 6 months to a year down the road. Yep. That's about when it started to really fall off for Heart of Thorns for a lot of people.
And one of the things that I brought up earlier is concerned about with having to go through, start using the mastery system for players like me. You got 5 new zones full of quests to go and do that. So while everybody is working their way through all this new content, you'll be also working your way through the mastery trees, even if you just rolled an 80 with your character boost. And I do like that all the expansion packs come with a character boost. And I know they did that for Heart of Thorns. Every single one had that too, right? I think the standard Heart of Thorns had it.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think that's a smart way to do it rather than some other companies that hide that in their second tier and up packages. So
charging $40 for the new race.
Right. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. So There you go. Path of Fire. I like have to stop every time so I don't say Path of Exile.
My goodness. That's going to be so bad going forward.
Right? It was like when Heroes of the Storm and Heart of the Swarm came out, and Blizzard was like, we don't want this called HOTS. And we're like, it's called HOTS. They're both called HOTS. Deal with it, Blizz. So we'll be watching it, and we're going to give you a chance to chime in specifically about Guild Wars 2 or generically about another game if Guild Wars 2, kind of on what our concerns are here in our question of the week later, so stay tuned there. Mini rapid fire round, because there was another expansion that not only was announced a while ago, but released. So this one is available for you Lord of the Rings online players. You're finally able to go to Mordor. There was a little bit of a delay, although I guess you can't really count it as a delay, right? Their initial announcement said July 31st to August 31st, somewhere in there, but we're aiming for July 31st, and they ended up launching it on, August 2nd. So,
2 days.
Yeah, you can't really call it a delay. So now we've got a new level cap, 115, 300-plus new quests, a new race, the High Elf, locked behind the upper-tier expansion pack, which was arguably way overpriced. $130 for the top tier one, $80 for the second tier one, and those are the only two that included the race. Now, you can't get the race in the store as well, right, Jason? But
Not until this winter, not until like the next update. That's when they're going to allow that.
Right, but you're going to have to buy it with your Lotro points. So you're still going to be paying cash or farming for a long time to get it. But as a Lord of the Rings fan, Jason, you're finally in Mordor, baby. Have you checked it out at all? I know it's only been available for like 20 hours, but have you checked it out at all yet?
My character's still level 101 in Minas Tirith.
Well, you got a boost, though. Go use your boost.
I can't skip all that content. Not on my main character.
You read the books, dumbass.
The same thing.
Then why play the
Except
game?
you're not actually really involved.
You don't get it, man. You just don't get it.
Oh my god. I would rather see this acted out by 10-year-old sprites.
Like, if all they had was stuff that was in the books, we'd have been through with the game 8 years ago.
Yeah.
All the other stuff.
Probably. I think I know the answer to this one. Troy, this isn't something you're going to check out. You were never really a Lotro guy, were you?
You know, way back in the day, I spent some time in there and enjoyed it, but that was, 8 years ago when it didn't look as dated as it does now. That's the one thing that, like, watching the trailer and stuff for this reminded me of, is just how dated this game looks at this point. And that's unfortunate, because there was a point in time where, this was a premier free-to-play MMO, and nowadays it's just sort of at least for me, in my opinion here, I'm not trying to generalize, but it's just, it's an afterthought.
Yeah, Jason and I have been given access to Mordor by, which company is it now? Standing Stone Games?
Unless you're buying it, then you're buying it from Turbine still.
Right, right. Apparently,
because it's stored on Turbine.com.
Right. And so Jason and I fully intend to go and check it out. May do a video, may screw around on a stream or something. But finally, we're in Mordor. So, yay.
I was really hyped for that like 7 years ago.
Yeah, you and the rest of the Lord of the Rings online fans.
Just like we were hyped for mounted combat.
Spoiler alert, they throw the ring in the volcano.
Hey!
Dude.
Damn. What a dick.
Man.
On the other side of things getting updated, we kept tabs. 2 weeks ago, we talked, Troy, about Bless Online's rebuild project, and we didn't have details about it. We were awaiting details about it. Last episode, Troy was out, but to refresh everybody else and bring Troy up to date, we did mention that they had released their rebuild project, and it was an incredibly vague outline, to say the least. Just pretty much mentioned every system that they were going to be touching. Yeah, it really wasn't a detailed plan. Here's the thing that I'm amazed by. This sounded, when it first broke to me, like we had the Russian server thing, then we had the North American Western release thing happen, and now we've got to dissect things and really get in here and find out what we're doing wrong. It seems like they've already been doing this. Because the first round of the rebuild project, it's already underway in beta testing in Korea. It already started. Now, this is MMO site reporting 2 classes, the Mystic and Ranger, won't be available on the server for now. There isn't a date on when they'll be implemented, but they do go on to list a few things being added to the upgrade system, including gear strengthening, gear evolution, and more. So the rebuild client already under testing, Jason. I think this went a little faster than I thought, which kind of tells me NeoWiz has been looking at this for longer than we were publicly aware of.
Bless Online moving quickly? That's not going to last.
Troy, your thoughts on it?
This is way too fast. There's no way they're doing the things that need to be done to do the revamp that they talked like they were gonna do. There's no way this is legitimate.
See, I hesitate to say that. I think to me it's.
Can we quit talking about this game? Why are we talking about this game?
I think
it's dead. I tried to kill it dead last time I was on this show. Can we just kill this thing dead?
Yeah, we actually got a comment that told us it was a waste of news space. when we
Amen, whoever you were.
Yes. Let's talk about Phantasy Star Online 2 instead.
I am still having a lot of fun with Phantasy Star Online 2. You have no idea. Finally, in rapid fire, in other fun news, Nexon closed down the Nebula project. If you have no idea what Nebula was, that's because not many of us did. We didn't know really anything about it, except that it's a game that Nexon's California-based studio was working on. They put up a website, but it had a very little on it. It was just kind of like looking out at the stars and, the sense of adventure, that type of deal. But it's gone. Nexon closed the California studio that was working on the game. Their quote, "The team behind Nebula formed last year and has been working hard on developing a prototype and passing the Nexon greenlight process." Apparently it did not, which shows you that their greenlight process may have been a little more effective than Steam's when it was around.
But man, it's the thing that gets me about so many MMO players, especially, is just thinking that every game is going to be amazing until they get a chance to play it. And now there was literally
look at this, Jason just crushing fantasies.
It's crushing Nebula, the thrill of adventure. There was some quote on the next page. So literally, you had like the web page, maybe about 20 words. And the first comment I saw in the article that first talked about this was, "This looks really interesting." Based on what? There were 20 words about it.
That is a great still image of space. Look at the detail on those stars, Troy.
Abandon all hope already, for the love of God.
It was the next great MMO. We should be in mourning. Why are we not taking this more serious?
It was. We were going to play taps and put it in the MMO bomb graveyard right next to EverQuest Next.
A shallow grave.
You will be missed, Nebula, whatever the fuck you were. All right, before we slide over to the... Let's just spit all over my computer. Before we slide over to the weekly bombs, we're going to talk a little bit about Fortnite. Again, if you want some more details on what the game actually is, go watch last week's cast or check out the first look video that Jason and I did for Fortnite. This one, I don't want to get into too much of what it is. We all know it's tower defense, building, mining and farming up resources and leveling and ass tons of progression systems built into the game. I want to get more a bottom line opinion now that both Jason and I have had some more time in it. Troy, if you're not in it, you've had more time to check out streams and videos and things like that. Jason, I'm going to let you start first.
I love it. It's awesome.
This one's been growing on you like every single day.
Like a fungus. Yeah. But no, yeah, you're right. I did, when I first got into it, I was overwhelmed by just how much stuff there was. And really by the lack of challenge in early levels. Like I just barely even... I would actually just conserve ammo. I still do this a little bit now, but I'm like, I got 3 other people. They can shoot stuff. I'm just going to sit back here, occasionally pick something off so I get a few points, whatever. But yeah, I mean, the challenge has ramped up a little bit in the stuff I've been doing now. Get a little more variety with the different builds and so on, and figuring out all the menus and everything. There is a pretty good game here. It's going to take you a while to dig down into it. And especially, like I said, once we get to the higher levels, the stuff is really challenging. It's going to be more interesting, but... Yeah, I mean, they need to still work on stuff. It is early access, which is /open beta, whatever. But I think that they've got something good here that they can build on.
And I do like the communication that's going back and forth. Like the day after the Reddit exploded with the payment model sucking, Epic Games was right there with a response, right? And it was like, hey, you know what? Here's some things to consider that maybe you didn't consider. But by the way, we're also working on this stuff. So please continue to give us this feedback on whether you like or don't like something. And we have seen Epic Games, Troy, in the past do that with other titles they have, right? The number one gripe with Paragon when it first dropped was the game is too slow. It's too slow. And that was in a late alpha, early beta, and so they started playing with that. Then they started playing with the payment model. Then they started playing with abilities. They did. What was the other game, Jason? Help me out here. That we saw them release changes not only to the game but to the payment model as well. And so I have faith in a company like Epic Games that even if they don't land on a model that I'm extremely thrilled with, that they are willing to try and make changes to make it more palatable and more user-friendly. Troy, what was your take on Fortnite since you weren't here for last week's in-depth talk?
I've enjoyed playing the game. A lot of, like Jason said, a lot of core systems in there that are going to be a lot of fun. A lot of core gameplay that's sort of fun to do. A little repetitive. And for me, at least right now,
that's the nature
like,
of the genre, though, right? I mean,
yeah, it's a little overwhelming, a little bit of systems bloat, a little bit too many fidgety things to mess with for me right now. Maybe as I get further into it and get more used to that, it's nice to have all that to fidget with. But right now, it just feels bloated as a newer guy.
That's interesting. Yeah. All three of us said the same thing right off the bat, that it feels like there's more systems here than there need to be, and it feels like they're only there to give the illusion of depth or complexity when it really didn't need it for the type of game that it is.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to give it a thumbs up. It's something that I will still play. Whether I'll play it long term is going to depend a lot on what Epic does with the monetization and the pinatas and all that stuff as we go on. But for right now, it gets a thumbs up from me. What about you, Jason?
Yeah, definitely a thumbs up. So,
Troy?
I'm waiting to see what their next sort of iteration is. I'm not currently playing. I played some in the alpha. I'm not currently playing. Next iteration seems interesting to me. It's something I'm willing to jump back into.
So a sideways thumb, huh?
Yeah, for now.
So I think we should leave it at this. At least this is my opinion of it. The packs start at $40 for this game. It's not a cheap game to just jump into and check out if you've been following it and are kind of interested in it. My advice at this point, if you're interested in it but you haven't bought the pack yet to get actually into the game, I'd probably wait. I'd probably wait. And just hang on to your $40 or up to $130, whatever you were planning on spending. And as Troy said, watch the next update or two and see if it starts going in a direction you like. Because if you're on the fence to the point that you haven't bought it yet, I don't think playing the game is going to change your mind and say that your spend was worth it. I'd wait. If you're already in the game, who cares?
I want to say they've also set a schedule, a timeline that's going to be about 6 months before they go to the full free-to-play. So
Keep in mind, this is 2018 for the free-to-play, so you've got plenty of time to chill for an update or two before you shell out $40. It's not a cheap 10 or 15 bucks to jump in there. Let's slide over to the weekly bombs. Troy, you're back. You can go first.
Yay! I'm going to give a dub bomb to ArenaNet for having an expansion actually fall within the normal cadence of updates for them. As Jason alluded to, that's a big deal for them, but that's a big deal across the genre as a whole. I mean, every game, like huge droughts of content before and right after an expansion. They've done a great job of making this one fall right into when the next sort of living story chapter would have fallen in a couple of months after this last one. But I also had to give an A-bomb to ArenaNet for not including Heart of Thorns in just the standard Path of Fire bundle. It seems really odd to me, and I get the expansion is set up in a way where you don't have to have Heart of Thorns to play Path of Fire, but I think myself and a lot of folks going forward really expected those to just be, when you buy the next expansion, everything before it's included. I'm a little shocked that's not how it is.
Yeah, and I was going to ask that in the when we were talking about it, but when I saw that it was your bomb, I figured I'd bet a better point to bring it up. It's not included in any of the bundles.
No, it's also not necessary.
Well, and that was
not necessary.
that's my question. I know it's not necessary, but does it cause any inconveniences or unpleasantness that people should be aware of? I couldn't answer that question, so I figured I'd bring it to you guys.
If you get into a group of like a guild or something who's going and doing maybe some of the story content or going to doing some of the meta events in those zones, you're not going to be able to go do that. So, I mean, it's not going to shut you down. If you're a guy who jumps in and just kind of plays through the game by yourself, it's not really going to affect you. Still surprising that it's not done.
Yeah, most of the stuff in there was related to the zones, like movement in the zones, like bouncing on the mushrooms and so on, or stuff like that. The one exception is going to be gliding, probably. That would be hard to live without. I couldn't imagine not having that in zones.
Just to let you know, by the way, if you go to purchase these and you try to add on Heart of Thorns, which it does prompt you, ask you if you want to do it, it's $20. So, and that doesn't matter if you buy the cheaper bundle, the more expensive bundle. Heart of Thorns, if you want to tack it onto your purchase, is an additional $20. So, yeah, I'm disappointed that it's not in there, but it's also not exactly breaking the bank if you do want to pick it up at some point. Jason, go ahead.
I want to say, first of all, that I wrote my bomb in there first, so Troy just totally copied me. Because I also wrote the bomb to ArenaNet for sticking with its promises so far, with the caveat that now you got to just finish it off and actually provide something, good in all ways. But I do have to give an A bomb to them, because as we mentioned, I had to do a Path of Fire article and a Path of Exile article this week. And it's so hard to keep those two straight now. So
I'm going to give a dub bomb to Jason Winter. Oh,
Ooh.
Look at that. Jason wrote a piece on the death of the subscription model. I really liked the piece in general, as I enjoy a lot of Jason's work, and I've told him over the years, even before we met or did any shows together, I used to enjoy reading his pieces quite a bit.
You told me something before we met.
No, I've told you that before we met, I used to read your shit. You know what? Your shit sucks. I'm moving on. No, but Jason wrote a piece on the kind of the death of the subscription model and talks about some of the history and when it may have died. I'm not going to spoil anything, or may have been given a death blow. But not only did I enjoy the article, I really liked the discussion it created, whether you agreed with him or not. I thought a lot of the comments were lengthy, first off. A lot of them were really lengthy. But very, very interesting discussion going on. So if you're a reader, if you're one of those people that's reading, go ahead and check it out. I'll put a link in the show description below to get to that article. So dub bomb to Jason Winter.
See, you can't even feed his ego and make him
awards.
happy.
Right?
Jeez.
Right?
Stroke that ego, man. Stroke that ego.
Nintendo says dub bomb. Actually, this one is non-free to play dub bomb, but it isn't directed towards the game, but the developer, which does have a free to play game under their name, even though Terra is a dead game in Europe. It's still a good game, but they got this other one. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you guys may have heard of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I don't know if you're familiar?
Oh, nobody plays that game.
Right. They are really showing how much they love the game themselves. The updates really show everyone that they're working hard on fixing the game and further develop it into the game Brandon Green envisioned with that god-awful other abomination he wasn't allowed to do much with. I always said, but sometimes the community has decent ideas and sometimes even great ideas on how to improve your game. Listen to some and you'll benefit in the long run. An A-bomb to a bunch of people within the PUBG community, or rather gamers in general. Stop misunderstanding patch notes or dev blogs. Last dev blog of PUBG mentioned new loot crates and the addition of microtransactions, and the world went nuts over it. And we were all shocked when they did. For apparently no bloody reason, if they would have actually read the entirety of that blog post. Yes, microtransactions were meant to come after exiting early access. No, the crate is not permanent, and it's just to get feedback and test the system, which is what early access is for. The crate will be removed by the end of August, and is the charity case for Gamescom and the tournament that's being held there. Stop going full Muppet over things you didn't even bother reading. Nintendo, very, very specific on those bombs. Thank you so much.
I'm going to go Kermit the Frog on that, though, because as it said, they weren't going to go until after early access, and you don't experiment with your payment model. Didn't we learn that last week with my bomb about Zynga?
Oh God,
No,
yeah.
no, we did. We weren't trying to get money from you. It was just an experiment. We were just trying something.
How much would you pay? You know what? We're not even going to let you decide. We'll just randomly charge you a number. Go ahead, Jason. Take the next
All
one.
right. Joshua Knight says, A-bomb to games which have a daily reward but don't allow it to stack. I can only play on a Saturday due to work, so if the rewards could be stacked, that would be kind of cool. This is the main reason I have not bought the Final Fantasy XIV expansion, because I can only play 1 day a week. I can never get my tome cap because I cannot do daily roulettes every day. Well, to be honest, it could really be a daily reward if you didn't have to log in every day for it. Not to mention that's why they put them there. They want you to log in every day so you play and spend money on whatever. So
I did like, and I know other games have done this too, but I did like Rifts, although you still had to log in a great number of days, but it was done on a monthly scale, or it's done on a monthly scale, so you don't have to log in consecutively. It's just if you log in like 20 out of 30 days, no matter what 20 days it is, still substantial. Sounds like more than Josh was able to do, but at least I thought that one was a little better than forcing me to log in 7 days straight because there's a reward I want. I hate that.
A-bomb to any game you have to have consecutive days logged in.
Yeah, Smite.
That's
Go ahead, Troy. Finish the bombs.
Breckner Catalan, only way to make a game that's not free to play is to pay well-known streamers or YouTubers to promote your game, which might actually work for the devs.
Yeah, we've seen that backfire violently, haven't we, over the years? Question of the week last week was, are you excited about Fortnite? Why or why not? Nintendo says, question of the week, Fortnite has that Blade and Soul thing going on. People wanted it years ago. Now some even forgot it was a thing. Most will wait for its release to see how it progresses and wait for the release into a hopefully free-to-play market, which I think it will be. It will. It's currently scheduled to be free-to-play in 2018. But it all could change. I can't say I'm hyped for it, but it's certainly a game I would definitely try out after release just for the sake of saying I did play it. If I like it or not is a thing of the future, but I can imagine that Fortnite might lose its player base rather fast. It's a highly repetitive style of gameplay, so the amount of new things to do must be pretty great to keep people entertained. I think Nintendo echoing Jason and I some of our discussion on how long will you play this, given that it's unending. Go ahead, Jason.
I will say that I've been kind of impressed with some of the variety in the missions. They do put a little bit in there to make it so it's not just build and defend a base every time. So
True.
All right, KO says, I'll pass on Fortnite even with free-to-play. Their business model already screams full scumbag mode. They'll make your free-to-pay, playing less than 40 euros experience, very inconvenient and frustrating. Again, hopefully they address that so it's not terrible.
Agreed.
Yeah, we'll see. I think that's TBD for sure.
Yeah. Go ahead, Troy.
Joshua Knight, question of the week. I had not actually heard much about Fortnite, but I love a good tower defense game. It looks interesting, and if they can get the payment model sorted, even if it does go buy to play, I will be checking it out. Da-bomb, Orcs Must Die Unchained on PS4. I loved the first and second game, but never played Unchained on PC. These games work brilliantly with a controller, and looking forward to exploring the game more. I do wish it was buy to play, though.
You probably would not have liked it a while ago. It's a totally Orcs Must
back
Die
when it was a
Unchained is
MOBA,
totally
it was
different.
not fun.
Yeah, it's a totally different game. Genesis says, question of the week. I don't buy into the pay-to beta test or early access, but I'm sure by this time it's actually free to play. I'll probably have lost all interest.
Yep.
And that's fair because this is a pretty early access, given that they aren't even projecting free to play until 2018. Go ahead, Jason.
Adokata says, question of the week. I casually dipped in the alpha from being lucky enough to get access. Was never able to get far with the rolling and reset cycles with the regular updates. I was even planning on producing my own content with it. Well optimized, but still relatively fun, even when queuing solo with randoms, unlike most other games. Only to feel like I was so unceremoniously kicked out and asked to pay to continue aiding in the early access. Or to put it into a simple phrase, I'm not mad, I'm just very disappointed.
Oh, that's the worst when your parents do that shit.
Yes.
So just be mad. Ground me. Finish it up, Troy.
Virgin FJ, Fortnite is not free to play.
And as of this moment, you are correct.
You are correct.
It's 40 bones or more, but 2018 if you're holding out for free to play. The question of the week this week kind of goes with our impressions and thoughts on Guild Wars 2. Have you ever seriously gotten back into an MMO after you'd called it quits? Now, we're not talking about that game you play for a month or two and then don't play for 2 months and then you play for a month. We're not talking about that one. We're talking about like Jason's Lord of the Rings Online, plays it for years, gets out of it for a long time for whatever reasons, good or bad, and then actually come back and substantially play it, not just poke your nose in and see what's going on. Have you ever done that? Seriously, gotten back into an MMO after you've called it quits? Be sure to put your answers to that question in the comments below. Dub bombs down there as well, or your weekly bombs down there as well. Dub bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad, or your questions for the panel. Until next week, Troy, where can everybody find you playing some Guild Wars 2?
Twitch.tv/noobfridge. Lots of Guild Wars 2 right now.
Jason.
They can find me on twitch.tv/Jason Winter. Maybe I'll play Fortnite. I know I talked about it on the first look. Was like, whatever, blah, blah. But I'll probably give it another shot, at least at some point. And, of course, Twitter at Winter Informal.
Perfecto. I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. You can follow me personally on Twitter at MagicMan1. While you're there, follow at MMOBomb so that we can tweet directly to you all the latest news, interviews, great articles from Jason Winter, first look videos, free-to-play casts, giveaways, and more. Until next week, gang, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.
We'll give you my crappy articles, too.